Every year on the second Saturday of October, the seaside town of Kona on the big island of Hawaii becomes transformed into the epicenter for the world of triathlon. Why? Well, because the Ironman World Championships course starts, finishes, happens in Kona. And we're getting into the Kona spirit by coming outside, and Mark's donned some flowers before packing our bags and heading out there ourselves.
Yeah, as Heather says, Kona has become the pinnacle of the Ironman racing calendar, attracting the top professional and age group athletes who are all going to be rocking up on that start line in just a week's time. So we thought we'd take the opportunity today to run through a little preview of the course and those athletes competing.
The swim start in Hawaii is one of the most visually impressive sporting spectacles in the world, let alone within triathlon itself. And it's a non-wetsuit swim, so it can actually give an advantage to those stronger swimmers.
Now, the bike course at Kona is often described as being brutal, and whilst the 180k bike course does have a climb up to Hawi around the turnaround point, that only accounts for a little over 500 feet. It is in fact the heat, the humidity and the wind that really make this course so tough.
But it's the run that tends to eat the athletes up and spit them out again. Burning too much too soon on this course can be really costly. So the athletes come out of T2, they run through town and onto Ali'i Drive, which will be packed full of spectators cheering them on. And this is where it's really easy to get a little bit carried away. They turn around and come back towards town before then heading up the first hill, Palani Road. And this is where it starts to get tough, because then they take a left and head out onto the Queen K Highway, where there is far less support and it gets pretty tough for a mental battle out amongst the lava fields before they take a left and then enter the infamous and unforgiving Natural Energy Lab. And this year the course has been changed slightly, so the runners will spend slightly longer in the Energy Lab before turning around, heading back along the Queen K and then eventually dropping into town towards the finish.
Well, this year is going to be just as exciting as usual. We have an absolutely stacked pro field that could go any number of different ways depending on the race dynamics and the conditions. But on the women's side, there does seem to be one clear favourite. What are your Kona predictions for the men and women this year?
Wow, 2018 Kona predictions would be, I'm going to go for Daniela for the women.
Yeah, I think Daniela is still hard to beat. It's going to be hard to beat.
Ruth's going to win it.
Hard for other women to beat Daniela Ruth.
Although she will have some tough competition from the likes of Lucy Charles. But on the men's side, it does seem a little less clear.
For the men's side, yeah, the top favorites are usually the same. So I guess the top 5 male contenders from last year will be also the main people to watch for.
Patrick can defend his title.
Yeah, so I would say Sebastian, probably a German.
I'm going to go for Andy Dreitz.
Well, Andy Dreitz is one of a handful of rookies to be competing in Kona this year. And if you look at the records, it does show that athletes need at least a couple of attempts at Kona before they really nail their performance. In fact, there's only one man who's come as a rookie and taken the title, and that was Luc van Lierde back in 1998, when he set a course record in doing so that then stood until 2011 when Craig Alexander took the new record. And if you look at the last few years, winners in the men's field, they've all actually been on the podium the previous year. So that just proves how tough it is for any rookie, especially in the men's field. But if I had to put my money on anyone, Javier Gomez could be the man to do it.
Yeah, Javier Gomez has had a lot of success over the shorter distance. He has been 5-time ITU World Champion, he's been an Olympic silver medalist and ex-Terra World Champion. He is one of the most decorated triathletes, but he has also started to dabble with 70.3s and seems to be rather quite good at it, because he is 2-time Ironman 70.3 World Champion. But more recently has also stepped up to the full distance, and really quite impressively, he placed second at Ironman Cairns in a time of 7 hours and 56 minutes. But this has got me wondering, is he following in the same path as Jan Frodeno? Can he perhaps match or better Jan Frodeno's debut at the Ironman World Championships, which was a 3rd place?
And then on the women's side, we've got Anne Haug, Hella Fredrickson and Sarah True, all competing for their first time at Kona, and they can bring some considerable depth and power to the field, but it's Anne Haug who could really cause some damage. Earlier this year, we saw her win the bronze medal at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in South Africa, and it's the incredible run that she has. Although saying that, we still saw her do a lot of work on the bike as well. So if she is in contention after the bike in Kona with that run, if she manages to pace it, she certainly could be one to watch for the podium. But aside from the rookies, we have a lot of very experienced athletes coming back to Kona, and as we know, that experience really is valuable.
So Sebastian Kienle, well, he actually took the Kona title back in 2014 and he literally won that race on the bike. But since then, his competitors seem to be a little bit more clued up on his biking ability and have never really allowed him to gain that same advantage again on the bike. So in response, he's really been working hard on his running and it's started to pay off. He's had a terrific year this year. He actually validated his slot back at Ironman Cozumel early this year, and that then allowed him to do Challenge Rock and various other races. But there really aren't that many athletes that can bike with him or have that same biking ability. So if they do want to stop him from taking that Kona title again, they're going to have to run something like a sub 2 hour 45 marathon. Well, one person who could really give him a run for his money is Lionel Sanders. He had a great race last year, a terrific swim for him and a great bike that brought him back up to that lead pack, and then he ended up leading the race for the majority of that marathon, only to be passed by Patrick Lange in the last few miles. He too seems to be on great form this year. He almost seems to thrive off of racing against his competitors. He's had 4 70.3 wins with just 1 second place to Jan Frodeno. Now for him to win this year, he'd have to have another superb swim and perhaps join forces with Sebastian Kienle and Cam Worth on the bike to bring him back up to that lead pack and then run as well as he did last year. And of course we have Patrick Lange, the current Ironman World Champion and 3rd place from 2016. And in fact, both years actually running through the field, posting sub 2 hour 40 marathon splits. In fact, he also holds the run course record and the overall course record of 8 hours and 1 minute. Now, he isn't actually known for his biking ability, so if he can find that right balance on the bike to limit his losses whilst not sacrificing too much of his run strength, then we could really find him in contention coming off the bike into that run and hopefully see that really exciting showdown on the last few miles of the run as we saw last year. One other person who could really contend on the run is David McNamee. He posted the fastest marathon split in 2015 in his debut Ironman World Champs and then surprised us all with his 3rd place finish last year. And of course, there are a number of other big contenders on the start list. Can Braden Curry latch on to Javier Gomez and Josh Amberger to get an early advantage out of the swim? Can Cam Worth plough through the field again to lead off the bike? And can Andrew Starkovitz join him in that? And then of course we have a number of other athletes that could really influence the race, but we're really happy to see Tim Don and Matt Russell back competing, having suffered really horrific bike accidents at the race last year.
Now for the women, and I have to start with Daniela Ryf. She first won Kona back in 2015 and she has done every year since. If she wins this year in 2018, that will be 4 years in a row. She'll be the first woman to do so since Paula Newby-Fraser. And she's certainly in form this year. We've seen her win the 70.3 World Championships. She won Gdynia 70.3 with an almost course record. And then she had that incredible performance at the European Championships in Frankfurt where she won the women's field, but she actually finished 7th in a competitive men's pro field as well. However, one person that does jump out as being able to stop Daniela is Lucy Charles. Last year, in her first ever performance as a pro at Kona, we saw her finish 2nd. She led out the swim, she led for most of the bike and still managed to post a personal record on the run. And then this year, we've already seen her win the African Championships down in South Africa, where she had the strongest swim and bike of the day and then ran another personal best when it came to the marathon. And of course, we saw the battle between Daniela and Lucy Charles at the very exciting Ironman 70.3 World Championships, where again she led out from the swim, she managed to bike with Daniela and then hung on for 2nd in the run. there are so many other athletes that could make their way onto the podium. In fact, I can think of at least 10 who could be contenders for podium slots. But let's just focus on last year's third place finisher, Sarah Crowley. Now, in Kona last year, she biked with Daniela and then ended up having that battle on the marathon between her and Heather Jackson. But earlier this season, we have seen her with a few injuries, but she seems to be coming back into form. She finished third at Ironman Frankfurt, the European Championships, and then just 3 weeks later, she went on and won Ironman Hamburg. And as I've already mentioned, there are plenty more in the mix. We could see a swim breakaway from Lucy Charles and Lauren Brandon like last year. And then there's a lot of athletes that can find themselves being able to run their way through, because we have some ex-international runners such as Emma Pallant making her debut. Then we've got Susie Cheetham, another one to watch. And of course, we have 3-time winner Marinda Carfree returning to Kona. Well, it's looking like it's going to be exciting and pretty fast, and you never know, we might even see some new course records.
Yeah, well, all this action is going to be taking place this Saturday, the 13th of October, with the men starting first at 6:35 a.m. Hawaiian time, and then the women just 5 minutes later at 6:40 a.m.
Yeah, and if you've watched this video and you've noticed that we are wearing new caps, we're getting ready to shelter from the sun in Hawaii. But great news, you can actually get your hands on some. So just click on the link for the shop if you like the look of these caps.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say my Hawaiian necklace is not available in the shop just yet.
Damn.
Maybe soon. Yeah, but if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more videos from GTN, just click on the globe and subscribe. And if you'd like to see our Ironman World Championship course preview video that Heather filmed last year out in Kona, you can see that by clicking just here.
And if you want to see the video that we've made on the top pro triathletes never to win Kona, that's just here.